Alright, very crazy hand, seems quite repetitive there, but that's okay. We always have something to start off with, which is Manju in this particular case. And yeah, let's just search for what we have with Natasha, Dakini, and Izana, and we don't have any ritual spells. So in this case, I'm thinking, hey, let's just go for a ritual spell, because we could actually summon out something at least. So in this case, we have to think, what do we actually need? Let's just go for the absolute ritual in this particular scenario. We could activate the absolute ritual, allowing us to trip it off Izana, and we'll summon out the Takini for this particular scenario. And then from there, we could also just set one of the magnificent machine angels, and yeah, that would be great. It's kind of like a bluff so that your opponent's kind of afraid. Yes, I know that your opponent these days, or rather the whole format these days, kind of encourages people to play back row removal, but even so, it is still something that will kind of scare your opponents for a bit. And we still have two monsters to work with here, though not a particularly strong opening, so we're just going to move on. Wow, alright, 3 copies of Preparation of Rites. Awesome thing is, it's actually not a hard once per turn, so we can activate all 3 of them. But yeah, before I start off with this, I would like to emphasize that with the pure version of this deck, it's really nice because of the fact that as a pure version, you could actually go either first or second, whereas if I was playing other variants, I would actually have to go either first as the main priority, or there are some that requires me to just go second as a priority. However, this one gives the flexibility for me to go either first or second. And if you guys are actually wondering what Cyber Angel deck would actually want to go first, well, it's actually meant to be a Herald of Perfection deck, and that particular deck is obviously for you to set up your negate, which is why you want to go first. For the incantations, you want to combo off and just go for big monsters, go for potential OTK. So for that variant, you want to go second. For this one, you kind of have a lot more flexibility out there, so you could just do anything you want, which is amazing, of course. But with that being said, this is looking crazy. Firstly, I'm just going to go for the Manju. This will allow us to search for what we need. In this case, we have Rash, and which is a level 10, of course. I'm thinking, let's just add Ben 10, and we're just going to go for a ritual summon right away. So we're going to activate the Machine Angel ritual and tribute monsters from our hand or field. And yeah, it's going to be great here because we have exactly the amount we need, level 4 and level 6. And we're just going to go for the Vrash, which is obviously very nice. And then we see this here. This looks really amazing, by the way. We have Ben 10 allowing us to add a fairy from our deck to the grave, or our deck to the hand. And in this case, we could go for pretty much anything, honestly. I mean, this is just really amazing. I'm thinking Idaten, not really. I mean, we could go for Izana, maybe. That would be okay. And then we could also go for the Preparation of Rites, allowing us to then add an Idaten. We could go for Preparation of Rites again, allowing us to get a Natasha, and another pre-prep, obviously getting this back as well. And this would allow us to get whatever we want. I mean, another Ben 10 maybe. And yeah, this just looks really amazing. We just kind of recovered ourselves again because Preparation of Rites. I mean, this deck is essentially, or this card is essentially an Upstart Goblin for the deck itself. It's going to empty out your deck. So technically you're playing 3 copies of Upstart Goblin. I mean, that's just, without a doubt, it's an amazing card for the deck. This is, yeah, you don't realize how amazing it is because compared to pre-prep, which is a hard once per turn, this is unlimited. So yeah, it's just really amazing. So now let's actually think, what do we want to go for? Well, keep in mind this is also not once per turn as well, so we could actually just go for it again and ritual summon. So this time we have an Idaten, we have a Ben 10. So what do we want to go for? If we go for the Ben 10, the interesting thing is by tributing off the Idaten, we could actually just buff up all of these guys by 1000 attack and defense permanently. So you would have a 28, 25, and you would have a 4k 3k, which is just huge. And keep in mind that you could actually just banish this card from the graveyard if one of your light monsters would be destroyed by battle or card effect. So yeah, good luck to your opponent for them trying to actually get over this, but keep in mind you're going second in this particular case, so this could even be an OTK, because Ben 10, when it destroys something by battle, it also inflicts damage. Vrash's effect itself, when it came out, already was going to destroy your opponent's stuff. So yeah, and aside from that, you're also going to inflict 1000 damage to your opponent, and you're attacking with big attack. This is potentially an OTK, because 4000 attack, 2800 attack, that's 6800, and then you have Vrash's effect. If you get rid of any of their extra deck monsters, then you could get rid of only 2 monsters and that's game over, because you burn them for 2000 and you're dealing 6800, game over. Ben 10's effect, if it destroys something, burns your opponent as well, depending on their monster's original defense. So again, you're just set up for victory in this particular hand here. Alright, so here's another very interesting hand, allowing us to actually go for some different plays as well. So in this case, we could just normal summon out the Egg Angel, allowing us to add either Machine Angel spell or Ritual Sanctuary. We already have one, but as a means of deck thinning, you could actually just go for the Ritual Sanctuary. If your opponent's going to negate you right now, they would. But yeah, we'll continue, we'll activate the Ritual Sanctuary, we'll ditch off the other Ritual Sanctuary, and we're going to think about what we actually want to add. So in this case, I'm thinking, let's see, I mean, we are going second, so technically we could try to go for an OTK here. So let's go for, let's see here, I kind of want to go for Vrash again, but I don't know, should I do that? We could go for Vrash again, but I'm actually just going to go for Dakini for the fact that we could actually go for piercing damage. So Dakini is my option. Going to activate the Machine Angel Ritual, allowing me to get rid of Ben 10 and also the Cyber Egg Angel as well. So get rid of that, summon out this, and then Ben 10's effect allows to trigger off and go for something else. So in this case, who do we want to go for? Well, let's think, who do we actually want to add in this particular scenario? And I'm thinking, you know what's an interesting thing? I'm going to do this right now. Let's just tribute off the Egg Angel instead from our hand, and the one from the field, we'll keep it on the field. You'll get what I mean later on. But yeah, we'll just continue with that. Ben 10 will then again still allow us to add, so that's okay. So let's think about what we actually want to add here in this case. I think it doesn't really matter what we could add, because we're not going to be able to summon it out anyway. So we're just going to go for something that might be a bit more worthwhile. Another Azana maybe? That should be okay. You could also add herself as well, which is just quite crazy, but no, it doesn't really matter, you just add what you want. Ritual Sanctuary could then allow us to shuffle back these two, and then special summon out the other Egg Angel, and then we could just link summon these two here. No, actually, yeah, you're right, I'll just add the Christia. Just go for the 2 Cyber Egg Angels, link summon them, and this will allow us to obviously go for a Phoenix or Cerberus, whichever is appropriate. Usually the Phoenix applies more because there's usually a back row that you want to get rid of. You're going to discard the Natasha and destroy something on their field. So now that you have all of this out, you have 4 fairies in the graveyard, you bring out your Christia, and then you basically just attack. So 2800, 2700, 1900, and yeah, that's a lot of damage onto your opponents. You're looking at around 7400 points of damage onto your opponents, which is quite nice, but you also have to keep in mind that with Christia out on the field now, your opponent just got locked out for their next turn, so it looks like it's a victory for you. Alright, just as a bit of a bonus for you guys, I'm going to do one extra test hand, being this one, and yeah, we're just going to end things off strongly here. So this is looking quite nice. We are going second, so you have Called by the Grave. Your opponent probably can't negate you in any way. That's nice. You also have Mind Control, so you could always take something, go for a Link Summon, and that would be amazing as well. But we're going to go for the Manju right now. Manju would allow us to then add for whatever we need. In this case, we're easily just going to add our Vrash. So where are you? Vrash is over here. We have Machine Angel Ritual activated, and we could go for the Vrash, of course, tributing off the Manju, and we're also going to tribute off the Ben 10 as well. And this will allow us to then go for, actually, let's not go for the Manju, let's keep the Manju on the field, let's go for Ben 10, let's go for Editon, and bring out Vrash, because this one actually allows you to exceed the levels of whatever you tribute. So with that being said, Editon's effect goes off, increasing Vrash's effect or attack and defense up by 1000. Ben 10 will then allow us to search it as well, which is obviously quite amazing. So in this case, you could search for whatever you need. In my case, I'm going to search for Christia again. Keep in mind, we're kind of running off the theme here that Christia is just a really good card. We're also going to activate Mind Control, taking one of our opponent's monsters, use that monster, and link it up with the Manju. And you could go for whatever you want. Maybe an Underclock Taker to reduce their monster's attack down to 0. Maybe we could even go for an Akashic Magician, and then pretty much from that we could just bounce back one of their monsters. So I've got a good variety of options available. Of course, under Mind Control, I am assuming the best case scenario here, so maybe you can't go into this, maybe we go for something generic like the Underclock Taker. And keep in mind, on your following turn, well, it could be an OTK, but on your following turn, if your opponent manages to destroy Vrash, then again on your turn you're set up with 4 fairies again, so you could bring out the Christia and lock out your opponent. It's just really nice. I love the way that this deck actually flows, and yeah, it's just quite amazing. So I hope you guys actually enjoyed this. I hope you guys actually got an idea of how this deck works for the pure variant. I thought this was actually a really good way to introduce Cyber Angels into the channel, as later on down the line I will eventually be doing other variants of this deck as well, which adds a bit more complexity to it. But of course we need to obviously start off with the foundational idea behind how this deck actually works, and this pure version, I'm actually quite surprised as to how amazing it's actually showing off what it could actually do. So if you guys enjoyed this video, definitely drop a like and also share this video as well. Don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on this and what kind of variants you would like to see for this particular deck. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you next time.